Alrighty, so we have Bitcoin now sitting at the daily major trend again. I'm quite surprised. I'm quite surprised to see the bullish momentum holding for now. We're still waiting for that short-term pullback. We've broken out. We have not tested just yet. We have CPI coming out tomorrow. We have the stock market on the trend line right now. We have the Dixie continuing to drop. And we have the 10-year yield on support right now. Interesting stages again. We got the merge coming up this week. There's just so much happening. And again, we are at an incredible, important area where if something goes extremely right, the market's going to turn bullish so quickly, you're going to be quite shocked how quick it can move. And we're also at that stage where rejection here is still pointing to massive downside. And you can see that each next move over here is basically pointing to a 25 to a 30% directional move from Bitcoin on this important decision and this important part of this week. Are we still going to have some sort of bullish end to the year, or are we getting the low? Are we getting the $15,000 to $12,000 Bitcoin within 2022? Massive show, guys. A lot to talk about. Let's hit it. Let's get it.
Click, click. Have you heard the news? What? With his finger on the pulse, it's like Sheldon knew. Click, click. When the sniper shoots, we got Sheldon on the chart, so we never lose. Enter the sniper, sharpshooter advisor. Enter the sniper, he marks the charts right. Enter the sniper, he's calling the cycles. So enter the sniper, click, click, click. Time to be dedicated, sniper mode is activated. Explosions in the market are in target, and Sheldon demonstrates. Mirror, mirror on the wall, Master Sheldon tell us all. We got Sheldon on the chart, so we never lose. Enter the sniper, sharpshooter advisor. Enter the sniper, he marks the charts right. Enter the sniper, he's calling the cycles. Enter the sniper, click, click. Enter the sniper.
Yo, Banter fam, what's happening? As you can see, stuff starting to move out of the office here. We are moving to another studio. Very exciting. I'm recording the school, so I've been crazy busy. Hope you're all having a fantastic day so far. If you're new, smash the subscribe button. If you're part of the family, smash that like button. Remember, guys, I want to get into things quite quick today. There's a lot to talk about. Remember to join our Discord. My Discord has been under construction. Well, my user's been under construction for the last 24 hours. So it goes live again from 3 o'clock today, where we're going to continue the trades. We've had 2-3 stoppages on some shorts over the last 2-3 trades, because we're looking for this pullback and it's going to come at any point. And we always got to realize that whenever we're trying to take a trade in a specific area, it is a hard part. The market's very volatile, but you got to stick to the system and you got to stick to that. So what I've done is, and you'll see it dropping later on today, that every week we're basically going to have a new rule system drop in that thing of like, this is what happened last week. This is where we went wrong. This is where we went right. This is the new strategy for the week. So we're going to continue this momentum, guys. Remember, to be a VIP, you got to be signed up with one of our description links. They are below. If you, no description, one of our accounts. If you're on Bybit, if you're on BitGet, it gets you into the VIP group. You get the live trading updates, the short terms, the long terms. And even though the live trading one's been quite quiet with construction, we do have the other ones that's been rocking throughout the whole week. So you get tons of alpha. You got Carl on here. You got the Trillionaire. He's a Bombay Trillionaire. He's fantastic as well. So the team's growing quite quick. Make sure you're part of that so you don't miss any of the action. And make sure you follow me on Twitter too, guys. My Twitter's here, and you have the daily candle. Lots of love and lots of free alpha for you guys every day. So let's jump on. Let's have a look. Guys, critical stage for Bitcoin. Very critical stage. Quite surprisingly that the market woke up pretty well. It has done pretty good. A little bit of a push. We zoom out again. It hasn't done that much. So it's done quite a bit, but not that much to that point yet. We want to know, like, when are we going to finally get out of this mess and break the real McDaddy? And the real McDaddy is that one. And again, we are coming closer up to the areas of the weekly trend line. This is the McDaddy. This is the one that we know when things turn really good bullish. And when we're going to finally retrace this hard year. It's been a very hard year, but when are we finally going to retrace that and actually have a real bounce and actually have a real momentum move? And we are slowly creeping up to those areas again. And it's still showing that October is hopefully the month where we're either going to get the biggest rejection of our lives of this trend line, and we're going to see some really nastiness in the market, or we're going to get a really good breakout and finally get Bitcoin back to decent levels of 30, 40K. So we're at a very critical stage. So before I jump into shorter time frame, I want to show you guys the main things that I'm looking at here quickly. With the weekly, again, we are getting to a critical stage. We have the merge. We have a lot happening right now. We have dominance acting in a weird way. It has bounced recently, but the fact that it got so low over the last few weeks has been quite crazy. But if you guys add in your normal RSI over here, you will see this long-term trend that we are building over here too. And what we need to be pay attention to is this one can be the leading indicator of this one. The RSI is one of the only ones that tell you a story a little bit earlier than what the price action actually does. And we do see that this long trend from December all the way till now, we are getting to a near stage as well. It's not showing us right now. It's showing us in a week or two, a really big decision can be made. But if we finally break through this, it can start giving us that indication that if we break through this one, there's a good possibility we're going to break through that one. Now, the last time that happened was this area over here, was this stage over here where the market went through, what do you want to call it, a sort of bear leg or bear cycle or a trending market to the sideways area. And when we finally cracked through that, that was the area of when the market actually started to do something and started to move. So add this in as well. It's a very critical level. Then what we have on the weekly again is we got the 200 moving average. And that's sitting at around 24,000 again. And what's quite crazy about it is we did have the little, just the tip went past the last time we rallied up to this area. And the difference about this time is if we do break through above this one, we're actually breaking out a trend as well. So ideally, what the problem was last time when we broke through here, we were still in trend. And remember, ideally, what a trend is still telling you is just telling you where you are in the cycle. You're still in a moving down, decreasing cycle right now. So we haven't really changed the trend. We haven't changed the structure just yet. So the last time we broke through, we were still in trend. And therefore, after that, we then obviously got the rejection. This time, if we make it through there, we're actually looking at the verge of breaking that trend. And a long-term trend like this is very important. So just realize, guys, that yes, the short price action is crazy. We can't say that this market is so volatile right now. If we go look at the different percentages, look what these tokens are doing. Like, look at the current market we're at right now. Like, it's incredible the amount of percentages that are coming out here. Like, look at this. So the market's at a critical stage as well. But what we do need to realize is in the next month or two, things can change pretty quickly. And we just need to know the key core indicators that give us exactly that. So that weekly trend line is one for me. The 200 moving is one for me. The RSI is one for me as well. And it's all pointing at Bitcoin breaking 24K. Let's get rid of the WhatsApp. It's all basically looking at Bitcoin breaking and a weekly close outside of 24K that can finally give us that real push. And if that does happen, now I want to show you something quickly on the let's look at it, the NEAR protocol charts. One of the tokens I'm going to focus at quite a bit today. I want to show you guys what this has basically done. Let's get this onto the daily. There we go. It's done pretty well, right? We got NEARCON, we got all these things happening. But all that it basically did was it basically moved. Let's get that. It basically had a really strong leg down, and then it had a retracement to that leg, and it's come to 618. And ideally, if this is still bearish sort of view of things, ideally we should get rejected from here and make another leg to the downside. So it's very critical that the market gets, through the 618 if it is a true reversal. And, ideally, even if it's not a true reversal, when we have a retracement of one leg coming down, we should go to 618. And it does it really, really often. If it breaks through that, it turns really bullish. But ideally, that's what a retracement should do. And that's the same thing when we're looking at this long-term Bitcoin chart, is if you go take that whole long leg, if you take this and you look at it the same way you looked at NEAR on the short time frame now, and we break through here, technically we should go to 618. And may that be in a few weeks, these sort of things. And that's still a bearish view. That's still a view that Bitcoin can still come down to 10K or come down to 12K at any single point. Who knows? Maybe 2023 is a bad year. Maybe the stock market still fall to shit. Maybe we are still in the recession for the next year or two. Who knows? But what we're looking for is that retracement wave. And if that does happen, this trend's important because that can show us Bitcoin getting back to 50K. That can still be bearish, guys. That can still be extremely bearish throughout those times. But at least we know that that is the leg, and that's what the potential we can be looking at the breakout of this leg. So we can prep the portfolios for that. We can prep the style for that. And the style changes. This phase that we're in right now changes if we break that trend line. You're holding trades a lot more. Right now, you got to get in and out. You got to get take profits when you can, especially now with resistance now. Taking profits now is smart. Because if it breaks and it tests again, you buy back in where you got out. You're at resistance. But if this breaks out and it shifts, we now shift into this mentality. And this mentality is holding trades longer, is moving trail stops up, but buying, focusing your ass off to get one entry over a few weeks, get that entry and hold and don't do nothing. That's where the hard part comes. Because now we're in an area where you got to do a lot. You're in, out, you got to protect a lot. In these areas, you got to be so much damn more patient. You got to rather work your ass off through this stage over here, very similar to the stage we're in right now. You fight your ass off. You finally get that entry. Doesn't matter how many stops it took. Doesn't matter how much heartbreak it took through that time. You get that damn entry. And when you get that damn entry, you look after that entry. And, just get ready for that mental shift. That if the market changes now, it's no longer going to be like this, where things just get rejected. Because, guys, how do we feel right now? Bitcoin finally gets to 23,000 and then it loses it and it comes all the way back down. It's a very annoying and aggressive and irritating market right now. And the problem is you're going to get so stuck into that mind frame that when the good times come, you're still going to be in that one. So always prep yourself that if this shifts, I have to shift my mentality because things are going to change. If I keep getting shaken out, you know what's hard about this area? What's hard about this area is getting back in. Is you finally make a good trade and you make money, then where the hell do you buy back in? Because it just doesn't stop and it doesn't stop and it doesn't stop. No, I'll buy the pullback. No, I'll get the pullback. I'll get these things. And it just doesn't stop and it ends up shifting. So always just mentally prepare yourself for that as well, guys. So that is the important part on the higher time frame views. Now let's go have a look at the lower time frame views and what we're looking at with Bitcoin. So what happened last week is we broke the bullish pennant. It was a down falling wedge, but ideally this is a bullish pattern. So never be afraid again that if Bitcoin or any coin goes into this downward sort of phase, if you track it right, you make sure you prep for it and you get the damn breakout. And when you get the breakout, very similar to these areas over here, when you get that breakout, you see rewards. You see here, there's the line down, you get the breakout, you make money. You get the breakout, you make money. It's a very repetitive sort of thing as well, that a downward cycle is actually forming a bullish pattern. And you just got to catch that pattern at the right point. And that's what happened with Bitcoin. We cracked it. We wanted a little higher high over here and a retest, and all we got was an absolute explosion. Now, where did Bitcoin go from that? It went to the 618 of that whole wave. This is the whole wave over here. 618 is at this area over here. So it doesn't mean we are out of danger just yet. It's actually a TP point. It's a place of taking some sort of profits in the market. And what should be confirming that a lot more is we haven't had a retracement to this wave at all. Now, does it mean that we can't go higher from here? Of course we can. But at some point, we're going to have a retracement of that wave. So it's very important not to FOMO into the current legs that's happening right now, but buying the retest because it is a bullish retest of where we're at. So it cracked through the first resistances, which was here. It then cracked through the second. And now we're at the third one, which is at this area over here. Now, the next one is in this zone up over here, the 24,000s. I don't think we hit there just yet. We have CPI tomorrow. Now, I think Bitcoin's been going up for the last 7 days, 8 days. I think CPI, hopefully, so what I'm thinking is it's going to create the little pullback. I think it's going to come out in some way. I think it's going to create a little bit of panic, and then people are going to realize it's not so bad and then continue with the normal life again. So that's sort of how I'm putting the news to the charts on where we're at right now. But all that I'm looking at is I'm looking at the pullback. I'm looking at the bullish pullback to take us back down to 20K. I am seeing a 10, 15%. I do know that the pullback can be a lot more violent as well. technically, if we still don't get past the 618 and we retrace from here, there is still a possibility of a lower low. And because this was the leg down, we still haven't had the true bullish and the true maximum momentum just yet. So always keep that in the back of your head as well. So technically, we're at an area of taking profits. And until we have broken that major trend that we keep talking about, you have to stick at that mentality of taking profits at very critical levels. Once we break out of that, you can change it. I can hold this longer, these sort of things. But for now, you've got to stick to that sort of momentum and that sort of move. Now, just before I give what I'm thinking on the next moves, is we do have the stock market here too. Look at the stock markets. This is the stock market where we sit right now. We're at resistance too. We have RSIs that are quite high up. On the 8-hour, on the 12-hour, RSIs are pretty high. If you look at this area over here, where this high was here, and you look at the RSI, do you see that this high, look how much lower price action is to the RSI. Look how we have a higher high over here, and we've got a lower high on the chart over here. You know, technically some sort of bearish divergence. There we go. Some sort of bearish divergence where when your RSI is not matching what's happening over there, it is telling you some sort of sign. The only way that changes is if this really explodes through and makes a higher high and it matches up with the RSI. But for now, there is some sort of bearish divergence on the stock markets, and there is a RSI that is sitting higher on the stochastic. So be aware of that as well, that this can also still get south for the stock market. From here, we can go chase a lower low. So that just includes and gives us the same area of Bitcoin critical level. TPs do make some sort of sense, but buying the pullback also makes a lot of sense, and getting ready for the major breakout that can come in a few days or a few weeks as well. I'm still hoping for the end of September to the beginning of October to be that breakout, to have a nice little finish push for the end of the year. And then we'll see where we get from that. If Bitcoin goes above 50K, things change. If it doesn't, 2023 still looks bad for crypto. Very important. So if we look at that 10-year yield, come on, baby. We need you to finally start breaking something here. It's close on support again. So another indicator, this must break. This must break, or at least trend sideways for us to have a good finish to the end of the year. We just want to know, is there any little bit of life that we can have for the end of the year? Then we got the Dixie, which lost trend last week. It has not tested just yet. So for me, that this, you know, if you look at the RSIs, they are down at the bottom over here. And we even get into a point of nearly having bullish divergences on here as well. So at some point, we're going to have, this is sort of the way I'm printing it, and what I'm thinking the next move should be doing is from here, at any point over here, we have a small little push up here, we test, and then we have the next leg to the downside. So this is a plus and a bullish for crypto. If this goes up and then starts to break down, that is definitely a plus. We have a longer term trend as well. So ideally, we broke the first smaller one, but we do want to break the next major one, which is this one over here, the one that's really been trending up for a while. So ideally, we want to make back down here, and for a good finish to the end of the year. If we can, by the end of September, broken this, it can be another good sign for us to look at. So short time frame, what I'm looking at is at some point the Dixie is going to have a small little reversal to the upside. It's going to basically form a small little pullback in the stock market as well as the crypto market as well. I don't think it's a long leg down. I think it's a quick one. I think maybe it comes on the news tomorrow or comes at any point. Maybe we even front run the news. Maybe later on today we have some sort of dip off, quick dip off. Because remember now, guys, market's starting to go bullish. When you start to see this, you got to think of one thing. You've got to think that, okay, the market's starting to trend. This is going to start getting a little bit of retail FOMO. And whenever you're going to have any sort of insert of retail, just remember leverage comes back. So it means the whale games come back. So at some point, you're going to have very fast dips. And it doesn't mean that it's strong reversal dips, but you're going to have this wick that comes down out of nowhere, and they're going to liquidate. Like, you know, everyone's going to be piling back into leverage now. This is what happens when the retail game comes in. Is you have this massive rally to the upside, and then you get these crazy drops at different points. You can either look at them as retests and take advantage of those dips, where majority of the retail will get shaken out at that time, Then the price will reverse again and go up for another few days or few weeks. The retail come back in, leverage goes back up, and then it shakes them all out again. So remember that sort of flow is where the market's going in. So for me, this is what the market does, and this is sort of what it's printing. Is we have a small little push up in the dollar. From here, it just forms a little pullback for Bitcoin. And this little pullback goes to the areas of around 20K. Then what we do from here, this is basically also, if this does happen, it's also basically getting to the verge of sell the news on the ETH merge. That even though it may be good, remember, if this ETH merge is a success, it doesn't mean ETH flies to the moon right now. It means the next year of ETH is really bullish if it goes through. So the longer term views just get way bigger for ETH now if this does go through. I don't think it's going to have that exact immediate effect, because what Rand said was very true, that it happens and everyone's like, yeah. And then guess what? You go on your MetaMask and you're still paying $100 fees, and it's still slow, and it's still this, and it's still that. And people are like, oh, really? Like, we hyped up, but this thing still sucks. And then it creates that sort of flow. So we have this little pullback at some point of Bitcoin. We then have a slow grind up to the end of September, and we look to break that trend beginning of October and start a nice little recovery road and start getting a little bit of that strong momentum back. So I'm looking at this as my next add-on entry to my portfolios. My portfolio is sitting like this. We have a Discord that's on fire now. I don't want to stop that momentum. I want to keep the short-term trades running. Why? Because it keeps you active. And if it keeps you active, this part of your portfolio, even me, I got 2 stoppages on the weekend. We're like, ugh. But then I look at my portfolio, I'm like, holy shit, but my long-term has gone up 30%. Holy shit, but my spot wallet's got up 30% too. You know what I mean? So even though I have my trading one, it's very strictly to my trading, and my other portfolios still move. And that's the great part of it. Is a part of your portfolio you structured, but if the market goes extremely bullish here, you should be in. There should be parts of your portfolio that should definitely be in. So I'm sticking to this little momentum move over here. Very simple. Of a 50% long-term, 40% spot wallets, and a 10% I'm using for my day trading. Because either way this market goes, I want to stick and I want to benefit from either of those. So this is where I want to be adding more to my spot, more to my long-term, is on this retest. And then I'll have a bit more left that when we break this major trend over here, I can then, take advantage of that. So that's sort of how I'm looking at it with Bitcoin. Now, before I go into the alts, the dominance is spiking up. It is spiking up. It's breaking trend. At some point, very similar to the 618 and these sort of things. It looks like dominance might take a little bit of love for now. And then at some point, we can look at really breaking that low. So it just means if there is pullbacks and stuff like that, be aware. Altcoins are going to pull back quite hard. Now, where can we look at the likes of if sell the news or these sort of things happen on ETH? Where can we look to go from ETH from here? Because ETH, if we go look at even the higher time frames on where we're at, and we look at the different major trends, we're in a similar position where Bitcoin is right now, where we're getting near there, but we're not there just yet. And for me, it basically into the merge now, ETH goes up to this trend, which is basically around $2,000 in that sort of zone. It has a rejection, very similar to with the Bitcoin one. And then during October, we then start to break it. I think it's going to be a successful merge. I don't think the price is going to go through the roof just yet. But I think it sets up for the rest of the year to be a good break. And from that, we can look at some sort of recovery, getting ETH back to 2.5 to 3K, those sort of levels. So what I'm doing is I'm taking, dominance, ETH dominance, everything's been going up. ETH's been outperforming a lot of altcoins as well throughout these times. So what I'm doing through this little stage of transition of this going up here, I'm looking to take my ETH. I'm not looking to get out of the market just yet. I'm looking to take profits on my ETH, and I'm looking to load up on altcoins to outperform ETH, as in Cardano, Solana, these sort of ones. You can see Solana today. Look what Solana's doing. It's doing crazy things as we shift. So I feel the little shift is going to happen between ETH and the altcoins, where the dominance continues to stay weak the way it is now, but it's not just ETH anymore. It shifts into the altcoins as well. So I'm going to take some profits here and not get out of the market, but get out of my ETH into other positions. And then I definitely want to be back in when this little move comes. Because if we go do the same thing on a 618, still the bearish view, ETH $3,400. Is where that wave should technically take us from the next push up. So I'm being aware of that one. Same with the ETH BTC. It's done really well. It hasn't broken through as we wanted just yet. I think it does come at some point. I think if the merge happens and these sort of things happen, I think it's we have this at some points where we have a complete ETH explosion. not just yet, in my opinion. Now let's go through Solana and what's happening here, because this is looking pretty good. It's looking juicy. Solana waking up all of a sudden. And let's actually go look at these important charts, because, guys, the market's now moving and we're waiting for Bitcoin to break the trend, but we got to look at important charts of what's going to outperform Ethereum. I think Ethereum over the next few months is going to outperform Bitcoin. I think it's going to continue. So what's going to outperform Ethereum? And if you go look again at Solana to ETH, look at this. It's been on such a downtrend for a while. We're going to look at some point to go test this trend again. And look how that weekly now, boom, has just crossed to the upside and just starting to spike up now. And what it's showing is this is just going to look at going to go test that. Maybe we break through, which I think at some point we're gonna. But even from here to that area over there, you're looking at a 30% outperformance of Ethereum. So if Ethereum does anything between a 30% or 50% with the remainder of this year or the next 6 months, Solana can do 3 times that. And not 3 times that, it can do 30% more of that. So, it just shows you the gains as well. Use these tokens and go look at them to ETH. I feel ETH is the king right now. I think Bitcoin's there, but ETH is ETH. All eyes on ETH right now. And we got to start comparing to ETH. So Solana for me is one of the favorites. If I go look at short time frame on where I think it's going to go to the USDT pairing and these sort of things, I think it's a lagging one right now, and that's why it's starting to sort of catch up. It's very similar to the 618. So it's probably showing around $40 from here. I do think there's that little pullback that bring it down to low 30s. And I think that's the absolute, grab your Solana entries and get that, because Sol to ETH is strong. Solana showing tremendous strength to Bitcoin as well. And it looks like it's one of the favorites. It looks like it's one that's really going to wake up and show really strong momentum. It's the same with Chainlink. It's the same with Cardano. Chainlink, I'm still working my ass off to get the shorts in this area. The stoppages are here. I'm making sure my losses are very small, but the shorts for me are prepping here. And if you look at Chainlink on where we're at right now, I think it's a must buy on the next pullback, but we're at 618 exactly. Exactly, we're on 618 again. And this, remember, there's still a possibility if Bitcoin gets rejected here on a lower low. There's still that possibility. So I'm prepping for that as well. But Chainlink, definitely the next buys. Same as Cardano. 618s, guys. You just got to go take all of these fibs here and just go get them. Cardano, possibly a little bit higher. But what I don't like is all these wicks. You see all these wicks? When you're starting to get wicks, you get into an area of a lot of fight where they don't really want price to get higher. So it's not showing that strong bullish momentum just yet. But what it is doing is it is giving you a really nice trend. It's giving you a nice area to catch the breakouts. It's taking its time for the breakouts. And that's what you always want to see. So if all of a sudden the market do erupt, this one's perfect for you to track. And a breakout of there can give you a really good trade of getting Cardano back to 55 cents, anywhere there. I think it goes to 618, and then possibly from there, we still have a bigger pullback. But, I'm prepping, guys. I'm prepping for the next pullbacks. Let's go speak about NEAR. There's NEAR right now. For me, NEAR is a TP anywhere in this area. It's a TP. I do think from here it makes a higher low and it moves. I think fundamentally, I think they're on fire right now. But I think between 5.3 and 5.5 is my TP area. I think from here we do have a rejection. We will see if we get a lower low. If that does happen, you're getting an absolute bargain on more. Remember, by me selling anywhere in this area and this goes down, this is how much more NEAR I'll make. If it goes there, I'll make 20% more NEAR. If it goes further down, I'll make a lot more NEAR. So I'm not afraid to take some sort of TP. I feel that people are going to sell the events, sell the news, the same thing we've seen many times. I'm using that to get rid of NEAR and ultimately make more NEAR for the next push up. Until Bitcoin's broken that trend, I got to stick in this mentality and stick to that structure. We got Thorchain also looking like it's been lagging quite a bit. This was one that didn't get to the areas that I thought it would just yet, which means it may catch up. If Bitcoin goes sideways now and dominance continues to fall, you're still going to have popcorn effect. You're still going to have some of the altcoins just doing crazy things. So Rune over here, I'm still looking. It's quite bearish, still at this point of where we're at right now. But at some point, I am looking at the breakup to these areas. So I'll keep track of this one. It has basically done a support, like a RS flip, where it's broken a high, it's retested, and it's showing strength. So if the market turns bullish, I'm focused on Rune, and I'll be looking at some short-term setups for you guys and adding that all in. But if we look at all majority of the rest, it's all sort of following the same thing as we speak. It's all getting to critical, I would say, TP areas. I think a lot of them are getting to TP areas. I see Luna's finally retracing. So you don't chase the pumps. You get that damn thing. You take your damn money. It hit 618 beautifully. That's starting to come down quite hard. Same as Luna C as well. This one for me is starting to get to a very critical point. If it loses this, it's coming all the way back down here. So these coins, nothing to hold, nothing to be excited about. Be very careful with them. And if we look at if there's any other big movers, I see Phantom, one that's sparking my eyes here. Look at Phantom. So pretty bullish day for Phantom and Solana as we speak. So what we have with Phantom over here is it is sitting at a major resistance. Cool. And it's also breaking. If it breaks this key level, that looks pretty good, because after that, we basically have the areas of 31 cents. So Phantom might be one of the bullish plays if the market stays bullish for the day to keep aware of. But ideally, any pullback on Phantom, I still think is a great buy for the end of the year, because what would be really nice for you guys to do is to go take all those major trends. All those major trends. I've given you the Bitcoin one. Now you take the rest of them and you go see where these things can shift. At any point, if this move shifts from Phantom and we go to 618, you can get a little bit of idea. $2, these sort of things. And that's huge percentages of where we're at. So use that weekly and use those things as your huddle portfolio, and making decisions on your long term and on your medium term. And, I'd probably say this is one of the best strategies right now. Don't trade daily with too much money. Rather keep in, so that if you make any stoppages and stuff, you still have a good part of your portfolio that's running in. And if the market turns bullish, you're still able to control that and still celebrate. You don't want the market to turn bullish and be like, oh, I got stopped, or I'm not in, or this. Oh, I got stopped, but I still have 90% of my portfolio in, or I still have 50% of my portfolio in. You got to get into that mentality. So Phantom as well, pretty good, and all of that. From tomorrow, I'll start going through all the altcoins. We'll go through all of them. I'll do them to ETH pairs and these sort of things. I think right now, let's focus on the big day. Let's focus that the stock market's on resistance. Let's focus that Bitcoin's on resistance. Let's focus on any reversal in the Dixie and these sort of things. And then we can start to make our next decision. So Banter fam, make sure you're on from 3 o'clock today. Discord goes live again for the live trading. I want this next short. And I don't know if it's today, I don't know if it's tomorrow, but I'm going to structure my ass off. I want this next short. I don't want any more stoppages for the next trade, so I'm taking my time on it. I want the next short-term short, and that is the next live trading session that I want to do. So if I'm confident and I'm ready, I'm feeling good, everything went well last week, we'll hit that. So guys, prep that portfolio, get the percentages right. Know that we're at a critical stage. Put your major indicators in, and let's get ready for a badass end of the year. I'll see you all tomorrow on the next show. Much love, Banter fam.